This Arc Warlock build with Fallen Sunstar and Coldheart is one of the most fun and destructive builds in the game right now, focusing on charging up abilities very quickly, allowing you to throw grenades, create rifts, plus also electrocuting all enemies that dare to get in your way. Today I'm going to walk through the build with the aspects, the fragments, the weapons, the exotic armor, so you can jolt enemies and amplify your Guardian in Destiny 2. Well, this build is focused around Fallen Sunstar, Coldheart, and creating as many ionic traces as possible. It's going to help you regenerate abilities very quickly, allowing us to spam grenades and rifts, and also giving us access to Arc Buddies, which all add up to increasing the overall damage, plus having fun while we are doing it. Yeah, some builds I put together see marginal gains, but this one is very noticeable and improves the overall gameplay experience. Fallen Sunstar enhance ionic traces, making them faster and giving you more ability energy from them. And this build also has a support purpose, given you can provide everyone you're fighting with the ability energy when you collect ionic traces. Well, that is the introduction, but without further delay, let's dive into the build. So first of all, we've got the Arc Warlock build. My super, we're using Chaos Reach, my class ability, a Healing Rift. My melee ability, Chain Lightning, and my grenade is a Pulse Grenade. For my aspects, I'm using Arc Soul, so cast your Rift to create an Arc Soul that fires a target in front of you. Allies can pass through your Rift and get an Arc Soul as well, and your Rift charges faster when allies are near. While amplified, your Arc Souls are supercharged and gain an increased rate of fire. Then we got Electrostatic Mine, so defeating targets with Arc abilities or defeating jolted or blinded targets creates an ionic trace, and collecting ionic traces makes you amplified. Next up we have the fragments, so Spark of Shock, your arc grenades jolt targets. Spark of Irons, defeating jolted target creates an ionic trace. Spark of Beacons, so while you're amplified, your arc special weapon final blows create a blinding explosion. And also Spark of Resistance, so while surrounded by combatants you are more resistant to incoming damage. For the exotic armor, I'm using Fallen Sunstar, and this one is an exotic helmet for Warlock. So this one comes with the exotic per Ionic Conductor, so ionic traces you create move faster and grant you additional ability energy, and nearby allies also gain ability energy when you collect an ionic trace. Next up, let's have a look at the weapon. So in my kinetic slot, I'm using Warden's Law, although to be fair, you can swap out any kinetic weapon for this build. The key to the build really is the energy and the power slot using arc weapons, especially in the energy slot, but we will get to that in a minute. So, first of all, Warden's Law is a legendary kinetic hand cannon with a heavy burst, meaning it fires a hard-hitting 2-round burst, and also we've got a couple of origin traits for this one, including Stunning Recovery and Vanguard's Vindication. Vanguard's Vindication, very good, so its final blows of the weapon grant a small amount of health. In the energy slot, I'm using Coldheart. It's an exotic energy trace rifle with the exotic perks Cold Fusion. So the weapon shoots a steady Cold Fusion powered arc laser, dealing more damage the longer it remains on the target. And also Longest Winter, so periodically generates ionic traces when it's in its high damage state. In the power slot, I'm using the Terminus Horizon. It's a legendary power machine gun with a high impact frame, meaning it's slow firing, high damage. The weapon's more accurate when you're stationary, moving slowly and aiming down the sights. For PvE, triple tap and target lock or vault shot would be very, very good. So triple tap is where you rapidly land precision hits that return 1 round to the magazine, and target lock, you've got damage increase the longer the weapon remains on the target. So vault shot, also very good, especially given this one is an arc build. Well, next up, let's have a look at the mods. So for the head, I'm using Harmonic Siphon, Radiant Light, and Dynamo. For my arms, I'm using Fire Power and Bolstering Detonation. For the chest, I'm using Harmonic Resistance, Concussive Dampener, and Melee Damage Resistance. Legs, I'm using Arc Weapon Surge and Elemental Charge. Finally, for my class item, I'm using Bomber and Reaper. And I'll go into the details of the mods in a little bit. Well, next up, let's have a look at the gameplay loop. So let's have a little refresher. So Fallen Sunstar enhances those ionic traces, making them faster and giving you more ability energy from them. And we're going to be using the combination of Fallen Sunstar, Coldheart, and our Arc build to create as many ionic traces as possible. Given the importance of ionic traces, first we do need to create them, so the combination of Electrostatic Mind, our aspect, and also the Coldheart exotic trace rifle, that's going to do that really, really well. Electrostatic Mind is where defeating targets with arc abilities or defeating jolted or blinded targets creates an ionic trace. Our pulse grenades are going to jolt targets, and defeating those targets, that also generates ionic traces as well. And then Coldheart periodically generates ionic traces in the high damage state. Spark of Irons and Spark of Shot also helps us create more ionic traces. So you're getting the theme here. We're just trying to create as many ionic traces as possible, and that is going to supercharge our abilities. There's also some other improvements with fragments and mods that we can make this build even better. So our Arc Soul aspect helps our Arc buddies get supercharged and fire much faster when we get amplified. Spark of Beacons creates a blinding explosion from Arc special weapons, and we're using Coldheart, and also that gives us ionic traces as well, and that tops up our ability energy, meaning more grenades, more rifts, more jolted targets, so that's a really, really good little gameplay loop. Regarding mods, Bomber is going to improve grenades, Firepower helps us generate orbs of power, which means even more super energy, and Dynamo added into that as well gives us super energy as well. So more super energy means more supers, and Chaos Reach does a hell of a lot of damage. Well, that is about it for the build. Let me know down in the comments what you think of the build, and if you've got any improvements, do share it with the community. Well, that is it for this guide for putting together an Arc Warlock build with Fallen Sunstar and Coldheart in Destiny 2. And as always, thank you so much for watching or for listening. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you real soon.